Hey friends, so I just wanted to say that this video has been a long time coming, mostly because this device has turned out to be way bigger than I expected. I found some huge flaws as well as some totally unique and delightful experiences. This review will be, as far as I know, the most in-depth review of this device possibly on the entire internet, which is a bold claim, I know, but that's why I'm breaking it up into 3 parts instead of making you wait a month for like a gigantic video. If I didn't cover the things you're looking about in this video, don't worry, there are more parts coming where I review pretty much every aspect of this device. So today we're talking about Remarkably 2, an ePaper drawing tablet designed for taking notes. To start, I do just want to say that I really do love this device, but it does have some serious drawbacks and weaknesses, which for me are deal breakers. I'll get to those in about 1 minute. Just a little note that all of the silly drawings in this video were done exclusively on the Remarkably 2. Mostly because with a device as fun as this, it's hard not to. So, without further ado, let's talk about Remarkably 2 on aspects of design and the general experience. When I started using this thing, I opened it backwards twice in a row, and honestly that makes me feel goofy, and it also makes me wonder if maybe it should be a little different in the design department. Not a big deal, just a small thing. I really can't get over how much I'm enjoying the experience of writing on this device. There is so much personality and enjoyment to taking notes like this. I think the best part is that I can doodle and write and rewrite, and I don't have to worry about wasting paper. I've been writing for 2 hours and I don't want to stop. I really can't stress enough what a relief it is to be able to write without having to stare at a glowing screen. For some reason, writing like this doesn't even feel like work. In a nutshell, Remarkably just makes it remarkably easy to take notes, which, even with my very questionable handwriting, just looks so nice. The other thing I love is just how much space I have. I don't have to worry about using up my pages or putting something in the wrong place or even writing something in the wrong part of my book because it's just so fucking easy to move shit around. Something else you can do on this device, of course, is reading books. Let's talk about it. Really, I think I can see myself using this device as an e-reader. Granted, I don't have a lot of experience with e-readers, but to me, the experience felt quite normal to the experience of using an e-reader. Something this thing can do that e-readers can't is let you make notes and doodles in the margins. It'll even let you add extra pages for notes. I think being able to use this device as an e-reader would also soften the blow because, let's be honest, the price tag is substantial. From there, let's move on to software. It's a little weird to me that you have to use the digital keyboard whenever you're creating a new notebook, folder, or quick sheet. This is a handwriting device, and it just would make so much more sense if I did it in handwriting. It's pretty clear the reason they did this is that this device doesn't do handwriting recognition on the fly, but I'll talk about that more in a second. It's also kind of heartbreaking to me that I can't search the text of the notes that I've written. Because this device makes me love writing so much, I kind of hate the way the only way to make my notes searchable is to convert it to a boring text file again. Let's talk about metadata. I really wish that each page of text also contained its metadata. Sometimes it's really extremely helpful to know when or where something is written, and that is something my journal does, which I miss. This would be especially handy for to-do lists, by the way. Okay, let's talk about converting handwriting to text, or as some call it, ocular character recognition. So this is a really big problem with Remarkably. It might even be the big problem. Because they're aiming to essentially make paper writing just as convenient as digital writing, they're aspiring to any or all of the conveniences which digital writing affords us. 2 of those major conveniences are 1, the ability to easily edit and insert text. This is a little bit clunky, but the selection tool and the cut and paste function allow you to typically shift things down and then insert a new page when you want to. The other thing is text searchability, which of course I've alluded to earlier. This one is a really huge deal. With my sloppy writing, this review is coming up on 80 pages, and it would be so much more helpful if I could search my text. For the record, this would only get worse if I chose this as my journaling device, so it is a feature that needs to be improved. Not being able to search text natively is honestly a heartbreaking loss, especially since I could forgive most of the other flaws, but unfortunately to do this, the Remarkably needs to be able to convert handwriting to text on the fly, and frankly, I don't know if that will happen in this generation, if it'll ever have the specs to support it, really. To add to this, when I did use the handwriting to text feature, holy shit, it was buggy. To convert my 50-page review at the time, I had to reboot my device 3 times. I'm not sure why, but at a certain point, the text converter would just get stuck and hit me with an unknown error message. All in all, by rebooting it that many times, I managed to get past these errors, and the whole process took about 20 minutes, which is pretty obviously unacceptable. Also, due to my clumsy fingers and the terrible keyboard, it took me 3 tries to enter my email address, which I don't know if I just missed it, but I can't seem to delete email addresses that I've added, which is frustrating. Which brings me to my next point, exporting handwriting, etc. So it's worth noting that the only way to get your text once you've converted it is to email it to yourself. I wasn't even that disappointed about this, but what's crazy to me is that the email I received from Remarkable doesn't contain a text file. It's just everything that I wrote and slapped into the body of an email, essentially. Not even having the option to send a newly converted handwriting as a text file is a huge mistake. The good news here is that if you want to send a PDF, SVG, or PNG of your notes, you can do that. But then you're going to have to use third-party software to convert it to text to make it searchable, which actually might be better given how shit this thing is at converting large files. On the note of converting large files, I just want to say that it's unreasonably hard to find the select all pages button, or at least harder than it should be. I just wanted to select my entire document, and to be clear, for handwriting conversion, you need to select one page and convert it because you can't select all of them, and then once you've done that, you can go back and use the select all pages function to select all. It's the same process if you want to export as a PDF. You select a page to send, you hit send, it takes you to the sending menu where you pick your email addresses, and then you can go back and edit the selected pages and select all. Note that you can also just select all the pages individually if you want to skip these steps, but the fact that the select all button isn't obvious and easy to find speaks to the fact that maybe Remarkable knows how slow and buggy the device is at converting large amounts of handwriting to text. Granted, my handwriting could be neater, but try telling that to a doctor. You know, the people who might need to get away from screen time and who have the money to spend on this device. The only silver lining here is that once you've converted your handwriting to text once, you won't have to do it the next time you choose to export the document, which, by the way, I wouldn't have had to do if the initial text conversion hadn't been so buggy. Also, so because I've been having some problems with incomplete syncing, which I will talk about in a second, I did try to just email myself a PDF of the review that I've written thus far, but I did that about 8 days ago and it still hasn't shown up in my inbox. At first I thought maybe this was because the document I was exporting was very long, but I tried sending a much smaller document and that didn't show up either. My conclusion here is that the feature must just be broken, and honestly, this really wouldn't bother me if the companion apps were able to sync properly, but honestly right now I just can't access a current copy of my journal anywhere except the device itself, and that's frustrating, especially as I go into editing mode with this review. For some reason I can't edit my notebooks when it's got a cloud download symbol next to it. Weird because there should never be anything to download given that I can't edit anything using the companion apps. Even weirder, I have to clone the entire notebook to edit it again because the little cloud symbol could stay there for hours. There's really no knowing how long it'll be there. Even weirder, the cloud symbol stays there once the tablet says it's done syncing. I finally fixed it by rebooting my device. This happened to me more than once, however, so I really do hope they fix whatever error this is. Another irritating design mistake here is that the Remarkable 2 can't do wired data transfer, or at least it won't. This has been made even worse by the fact that I have large journals which I would love to move to this device, but which I can't because I'm afraid it would take nearly a decade to upload them to Remarkable servers, even when I'm using the desktop companion app. Just to test things out, I uploaded about 1,000-page recipe book. It's a crowdfunding thing, it's my favorite recipe book, and it's about 80 megabytes total. It took, and I am not kidding here, about a week for it to show up on my device. Which I don't know how in an enterprise setting you could expect to wait a week for a large PDF. That's just crazy. I'd also like to point out that Remarkable 2 comes with a 1 year of Remarkable's best cloud service plan. So yeah, it's pretty disappointing. Just a little addendum here. It could just be my terrible internet, but I noticed that syncing is either buggy or quite slow sometimes. Specifically, there are changes that I made yesterday that still haven't shown up almost 24 hours later. Not to be extra salty, actually to be extra salty, I do just want to point out that my journaling app, Day 1, which is not marketed as an industrial grade tool, was able to upload and sync my recipe book in 5 minutes. So I know I've been pretty negative, but let's talk about distraction. Something that I dearly love about this device is that by virtue of it having no third-party software, it's insanely easy to focus. Now that I'm using this device to write my reviews, I sometimes forget where my phone is, or even just totally fail to be distracted by it, which is rare, and honestly, I'm so glad there isn't even an option to integrate notifications. It's distraction-free by design, and it makes me so happy. Okay, so that's as much time as we have for now. I would just point out that I haven't even talked about the hardware really, a bunch of software, as well as Google Drive and Dropbox integrations. There were some more unpleasant surprises that I'm excited to tell you about, as well as a few really exciting things, so do subscribe and ring the bell if you'd like to be notified when the next parts of this review drop. Anyway, that's it for now. This is BRBTG, I'm BRB, and as always, I'll be right back. This is completely unrelated, but if you haven't seen Exorbia's video for Sea of Thieves, I would strongly recommend it. It is heartwarming.